Since its start with Iron Man in 2008, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, has been all about a larger world with connected properties. 17 movies, and counting. 11 TV shows, and counting. Several short films, a few tie-in comics, a web short that may or may not be canon. The lore of this universe just keeps getting bigger. And the impact of the MCU has been insane. Since the Avengers came out in 2012, countless movie studios have decided that cinematic universes are the way to go. In this year alone, Universal attempted to kickstart their own shared universe of classic monsters with The Mummy. 2 LEGO movie sequels were released, which took place in the same canon as the original film from 2014. Transformers announced several spin-off films in development, which would flesh out oh-so-beloved characters like Bumblebee. DC Entertainment continued trying their best to mimic the success that Marvel has had with their own characters. And of course, Star Wars is announcing new additions to its canon basically every other week. But what makes the MCU stand out and work so well? When Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. launched several years ago now, their advertising campaign was all about #It'sAllConnected, promoting the idea that everything you've seen in the Marvel movies and TV shows has been taking place in the same world as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. itself.
You've gotten to see how that show dances in and out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Our characters interact with each other, our worlds interact with each other.
It all leads here.
Because you, as our fans, have told us that those are the kinds of stories that you like.
This concept of a shared continuity is becoming more and more familiar to mainstream audiences today, and people love this idea. The idea that their favorite characters and stories are all happening in the same world, and could at some point collide. Before the Avengers was released, the idea of having characters from different movies come together as a team was unprecedented, but now it's almost expected. With Black Widow and Cap teaming up in The Winter Soldier, Ant-Man and Falcon brawling in his film, Iron Man and Spidey exchanging quips in Homecoming, and of course, Hulk and Thor buddying around in Ragnarok. People love to see their friends meet their other friends, and it's the same way with movie characters. There is an insane amount of fan art on the internet of Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon and Merida from Brave making out. But while I find this whole concept pretty fascinating and intriguing, I think there's another compelling layer to the MCU that hasn't been talked about much at all. And that's the concept of 2 sides of a story, point of view, and, at risk of sounding pretentious, narrative duality. When Nick Fury shows up in Tony Stark's house at the end of the first Iron Man film, he tells him,
"Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet."
A bigger universe, one that you'll never see the entirety of. A universe with endless possibilities and stories to be told. This quote could easily be the main motif of the MCU. Every time you think you've seen the whole playing field, the MCU shows you that, oh wait, there were sorcerers in this world, working in the shadows. Oh wait, there's an advanced African civilization living undercover. Oh wait, there's an entire galaxy out there with talking raccoons and living planets. This idea was especially evident in Phase 1 of the MCU, which spanned from Iron Man to the Avengers, when the world was still being fleshed out and developed. None of the audiences knew how wild and colorful things were going to get, or what characters might exist in this world that we just hadn't seen yet. Subtle Easter eggs and nods for the fans piqued everyone's attention, making them constantly ask, no way, are they gonna do that? Thor exists in this universe? They're gonna do the Avengers? You're kidding me, Thanos is gonna be in this? Every movie in Phase 1 left the viewers questioning how expansive this universe might get. Marvel Studios was showing people that they had an ambitious plan, and it was clear that we had only seen a tiny fraction of what was out there in this universe. And ultimately, this leads us to the versatility that makes the MCU so unique. At the end of the original Avengers movie, the team of 6 heroes battles it out with Loki's armies of aliens right in the center of New York. The city is understandably decimated, but we see our heroes come together for the first time and ultimately stopping evil. In the film, it's a triumphant finale, a fun summer blockbuster battle with little to no consequences. But, as is revealed later, what we observed in the Avengers is only one fraction of the story. In Civil War, the government depicts a very different version of the Battle of New York. Footage from the civilians' point of view reveals just how terrifying the battle was to people on the streets, not exactly the fun and campy boss fight we saw originally. Later, in Spider-Man Homecoming, we find out that cleaning up the mess left by the Chitauri wasn't as easy as the Avengers made it look. In stopping an invasion, the team inadvertently created new threats to the city in the form of alien weapons dealers. And the guys on the street who have to deal with the constant threats to their existence are pretty fed up with this sci-fi crap.
So now the assholes who made this mess are getting paid to clean it up.
Yeah, it's all rigged.
But even what we've seen in the movies about the Battle of New York isn't the end of the story. There's another piece in the equation. The Marvel Netflix shows like Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Luke Cage deal with the aftermath of the Battle of New York with more heart-wrenching brutality than we'd ever seen in the MCU before. Throughout their storylines, we find out that countless people died in the attacks, and it's left a major impact on the citizens of Manhattan and their trust for superpowered individuals in general.
The city was saved, but I was there. I saw what really happened. I saw my mother crushed to death under a building that you people destroyed.
In the incident?
I was trying to pull my mother out from the rubble, watching her bleed to death, while all around me, you people were raining down hell.
So go after the big green guy at the flag waver. I wasn't even there.
Consider it a preventative measure for next time.
The incident, as civilians call it, sent the real estate prices way down and made everyone feel more unsafe in the city than ever before. That's the other side of the story, the point of view we never saw. Again, in Civil War, this is the case with Zemo's family. While the Avengers were kicking butt in Sokovia during Age of Ultron, people were getting crushed under the rubble of falling buildings. Before that, in Winter Soldier, we found out that while Captain America thought he was serving S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra was secretly working in the shadows for decades, unbeknownst to the audience or the characters. Every event in a story has multiple points of view, and the watcher never sees the entire equation. And it's not just events that have multiple POVs in the MCU. It's also characters. In Spider-Man Homecoming, we see Tony Stark through the eyes of Peter Parker instead of the eyes of, well, Tony Stark. However, Peter Parker's limited knowledge of Stark's past, and the audience's very heavy knowledge of it, makes for some great on-screen drama throughout the film. When the audience knows more about a given situation or person than the characters do, it contextualizes the whole thing and gives it more weight. So when Tony Stark says,
"If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?" God, I sound like my dad.
While Peter Parker doesn't get the importance of that line, the audience knows Stark's inner struggle all too well. This is what Marvel does so brilliantly, executing the idea that you and the characters have only seen part of the story, a fraction of what actually happened. It's extremely intriguing, and it engrosses the viewer in the mythos of the world. Even today, we still don't know how much of the MCU hasn't even been explored yet. Black Panther, due out in February, is going to show us an entire country we didn't know existed until now. Captain Marvel, due out in 2019, is going to explore a race of aliens attacking Earth in the mid-90s. We still haven't seen the whole picture. Some people say that the MCU has too much variation in style. How can a lighthearted romp like Ant-Man exist in the same universe as the Punisher? But to that I say, it may seem jarring, but it really serves to make the universe that much more authentic. In the real world, there are lighthearted corners and experiences, and there are brutal and emotional ones too. It all depends on your point of view. Personally, I love that Marvel highlights new corners of their universe with every movie, constantly expanding the mythos. And it's fascinating to see how fantasy adventures, political thrillers, action blockbusters, psychological character studies, and hilarious comedies all fit into this one universe under a single umbrella. Either way, the MCU lives and breathes through its ever-expanding lore. And with even more films on the horizon, Marvel might just be getting started.